My 11 years as Queen Elizabeth's special chef at Buckingham Palace. He kept quiet for 20 years as the royal narrative was meticulously crafted by people in authority. Darren McGrady, the royal chef who served the Queen, Prince Charles and both young princes, was special. Diana had his loyalty. He's 63 and ready to speak. His confessions are explosive. Queen Camilla is behind this surprise truth-telling. Darren's revelations have upended royal myth-making. Comments that broke regal hush. A single unexpected comment began Darren McGrady's unanticipated tempests. The former royal cook, now 63 and linked with Princess Diana, did something unexpected as the world prepared for King Charles III and Queen Camilla's coronation. He publicly supported the event. The first time I saw Princess Diana was at Buckingham Palace, the royal wedding, Darren added. Time has passed, the present can be honored while cherishing the past. His statements seemed calm, logical, and kind, but the online reaction was obscene. Social media boomed. Both royalists and Diana loyalists argued. Some praised Darren's maturity and attempt to reconcile the past and present, but others regarded it as an unfathomable betrayal. Diana's spirit will never rest if you celebrate the woman who broke her, a post said. Another went further, you were her chef, her confidant. You should be exposing Camilla, not applauding her. Darren took Diana's legacy seriously for years. He kept quiet out of loyalty and never addressed Diana's tormentor. That quiet, especially about Camilla, always raised suspicion. McGrady avoided the question in several interviews throughout the years. He never directly addressed Camilla Parker B.S., Britain's most loathed woman. The public never forgot how important Camilla's romance with Charles was to Diana's sorrow, for which there was no criticism. A 2005 poll found that 7% of Brits favored Camilla as queen. Thus, when she was crowned in 2023 and Darren openly supported, it felt like a break with his past. Headlines exploded. Finally, Darren McGrady spoke. He shared more frightening information about Queen Camilla than expected. Before we reveal it, let's discuss palace life. Darren's childhood and his relationship with Princess Diana. Stay updated. Diana's cook became her silent confidant. In 1982, young chef Darren McGrady entered Buckingham Palace as number 20 in a staff kitchen with rigorous hierarchy and long-standing history. He never expected to form a quiet but profound friendship with Princess Diana, one of the most beloved royals in modern history. Prince William's birth that year unintentionally began a relationship that would span royal kitchens, private anguish, professional responsibility, and genuine commitment. The princess entered Balmoral Castle's kitchens looking gorgeous. In those days, Darren's job were simple. He prepared frozen veggies and followed senior French chef Gabriel Chumy's instructions on how to serve royalty and grasp the palace's silent protocols. A realm of distance and formality, one figure provided warmth and energy to the cold routine. Diana McGrady met her at Balmoral Castle, where the royals summered. Diana didn't order servants unlike other royals. Instead, she entered the kitchen barefoot in a dressing gown and requested yogurt, fruit or orange juice for herself or the boy. Thanks the workers, is pleasant, and sometimes helps stack plates. In a hierarchical, silent world, her humility stood out. She was genuine, and Darren saw right away. Early on, Diana lighted up palace life. She added humor to formal dinners, danced freely at formal gatherings, and made the castle feel less like a fortress. McGrady always addressed her officially, but their quiet familiarity of daily rituals strengthened their relationship. She requested fresh juice, carrot, celery, or apple every night, depending on her mood. Darren noted tiny changes over time. Diana's appetite declined when her marriage to Prince Charles worsened, owing to his affair with Camilla Parker B.S. One night she didn't order juice, but worried Darren made it. She took one gulp. He remembered her tearful eyes. McGrady noticed Diana's emotional burden behind palace gates, before tabloids did. Diana and Charles split in 19. She moved with her sons from Buckingham Palace to Kensington Palace. Darren thought the chapter was done until he got a shocking call. Diana wanted him as cook. He acted immediately. Kensington was cozier, more personable and less majestic than Buckingham. The ache persisted. Camilla haunted talks, and palace rumors continued. One vicious rumor alleged Camilla told a friend, "He's officially mine. He always has been." Darren could see Diana hadn't heard it. Diana was graceful when hurt. Her temper never flared. Darren subsequently said that made her Diana, but as their friendship deepened, he saw more of her sorrow. Camilla was always the source of pain. Chef-princess friendship is unlikely. Behind kitchen doors, Diana told him what? "Keep watching. I always knew I'd never rule." Even though Diana tried to establish peace at Kensington Palace, her history haunted her. She was haunted by her broken marriage, years of treachery, and Camilla Parker BS. No matter how polished her walls were, few saw her hidden vulnerabilities. One was royal chef Darren McGrady. Diana entered the kitchen one peaceful evening, after supper, while Darren cleaned not for food, but comfort. She lingered, eyes dropped, whispering, "I've always known I'd never be queen," stated. "That girl who took my husband. She will be." Darren was startled. He didn't know what to say, but Diana didn't anticipate one. "You only had to listen," she added, dabbing away a tear. In that stillness, years of heartbreak poured out. Diana had long feared being pushed aside, not just as a wife but as a woman once destined to be Queen of England. Prince Charles's unwavering attachment to Camilla had taken a toll that no newspaper could truly capture. McGrady remembered the arguments, loud, emotional clashes echoing through Buckingham's hallways, and always it was Camilla's name at the center of the storm. When the Camilla Gate tapes were released in 1993, confirming the rumors Diana had silently endured for years, the world was stunned. But for Darren, it simply made public what he had already seen behind the scenes. Diana didn't speak of the tapes with him. She didn't have to. Her withdrawn demeanor, the loss of appetite, the heaviness in her eyes, it said enough. Her eating disorder worsened, and McGrady, ever discreet, observed without intruding. Then came the 1995 BBC Panorama interview. Diana's raw admission, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded," shook the monarchy to its core. For the first time, the world saw her pain in her own words. It wasn't new to Darren, but it was finally being acknowledged by millions. She spoke of self-harm, of asking for help in the wrong ways, and in doing so gave strength to others quietly fighting the same demons. But through the grief, Diana began to rebuild. A year into her new life at Kensington, Darren saw a change. She smiled more. She ate better. She found purpose in her work, and in a bold move, she spoke publicly about her bulimia, turning shame into strength and helping break the silence for countless others. She looked the healthiest I'd ever seen her. Darren said she was becoming herself again. The day Diana didn't come home, it was a quiet Sunday morning at Kensington Palace, and Darren McGrady was busy in the kitchen preparing a simple meal for Princess Diana. She was expected to return from Paris later that evening, where she had been on a trip. The plan was for her to reunite with her sons, Prince William and Harry, before they went back to school. It was supposed to be a peaceful day, filled with home-cooked food, family time, and a brief moment of normalcy amid the chaos of royal life. But then everything changed in an instant. The television flickered to life with a breaking news headline: "Princess Diana in car crash." Thursday marks 20 years since Princess Diana was killed in a car crash inside a Paris tunnel. The words barely registered at first. Darren thought it might be a joke, but then the news flooded every channel. His heart sank as the truth hit him like a tidal wave. Diana was dead. She had been in a car crash in a Paris tunnel, pursued by paparazzi, and had passed away at just 36 years old. The hope that it was a mistake quickly faded as he rushed into work. Still in disbelief, he clung to the faint hope that somehow the tragedy was exaggerated. But when the palace sent over Diana's last will, the reality set in. There would be no return, no quiet dinner, no comforting the boys. Diana was gone. In the hours that followed, Kensington Palace was filled with sorrow. Staff members who had served Diana, who had stood by her, were left heartbroken. Darren quietly recalled how her meal had been ready, sitting untouched, waiting for her return. The world reacted with shock, but the grief that echoed in the days following her death was just as overwhelming. Millions of people mourned her loss, laying flowers at Kensington Palace, and the entire world seemed to come to a standstill. Elton John's re-recorded Candle in the Wind became the soundtrack of collective mourning. But amid this outpouring of sorrow, another quieter tension began to emerge. Rumors swirled that Camilla Parker Bias had expressed a desire to attend Diana's funeral, perhaps hoping to soften public hostility. Some suggested that her presence could be seen as a gesture of goodwill, a step toward acceptance. However, Queen Elizabeth reportedly intervened, insisting that Camilla stay away. For Darren, this was the right call. The world would never have forgiven her. He said Camilla attending would have felt like showing up at a crime scene she helped create. With that decision made, the stage was set for Diana's funeral, an event that the world would never forget. But there was one more powerful moment yet to unfold. The wedding Darren refused to attend. Why could the tension between public mourning and private betrayal finally reach its breaking point? Stay tuned to find out. The wedding he couldn't attend. Darren's silent protest against Camilla. When Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bias finally exchanged vows on April 9, 2005, it was framed as the soft conclusion to a decades-long royal drama. The ceremony, held quietly at Windsor Guildhall, followed by a blessing at St. George's Chapel, was meant to signal peace, closure even. For many, it felt like a long overdue union. But for Darren McGrady, the former royal chef, who had cooked for Princess Diana through her most heartbreaking years, it was anything but a happy ending. "I didn't watch, I didn't attend, I couldn't," Darren later admitted. "That day belonged to Diana in my heart." Though he had since moved to the United States and built a successful catering business, his connection to the late Princess of Wales never faded. As Charles and Camilla's wedding approached, McGrady's phone began buzzing. The British monarch has given her blessing for Prince Charles' wife Camilla to be called Queen Consort, not with congratulations, but with hushed messages from former palace colleagues. Many had once worked closely with Diana, and they all shared the same unsettled feeling. Something about the ceremony felt cold, wrong, almost like history was being quietly rewritten. To McGrady, the marriage didn't just mark a union, it marked a turning point. It was, as he described, a silent erasure of Diana's pain, her legacy. They got what they wanted, he said, but the cost was Diana. What disturbed him even more were the whispers trickling out of palace walls after Camilla's arrival. Trusted staff who had once served Diana were suddenly reassigned or let go. Charities she had passionately championed were now overlooked. Her presence, once so vibrant within the palace, began to dim like a portrait taken down in silence. Amid this shift, one memory haunted Darren. Diana once softly confessed, "I'll never be queen. Queenhood awaits that girl who abducted my husband." When Charles and Camilla married, those comments rang louder than ever. Not just Darren noticed. Inside the palace, things were more deliberate than the public thought. Now Camilla's frightening palace memory erasure of Diana. Was this the plan all along? Stay updated. Pure evil. Diana was eliminated from the palace by Camilla. Royal chef Darren McGrady kept his mouth shut for years after Princess Diana's death, out of grief, respect, and possibly because his reality was too combustible to disclose. His quiet wasn't empty. There were unspoken memories, sadness, and mounting concern about what was happening behind palace doors. When he eventually spoke, the discovery shook Buckingham Palace and beyond. In his 60s, McGrady worked closely with Diana. He saw her as a warm-hearted royal who gave life and compassion to the monarchy's icy hallways. After seeing what transpired after Camilla moved into Clarence House and Buckingham Palace, he couldn't keep quiet. It began gently, quiet enough for most to miss. For those who knew Diana well, it was like witnessing her spirit fade away. McGrady remembered Diana's beautiful touches in her private chambers, steadily disappearing. She loved pastels and exhibited family photos. She lost her beloved English flower. Camilla replaced even her favorite flowers, forget-me-nots and lilies. Furniture was moved or removed. The makeover felt complicated. It felt like rewriting history. McGrady saw beyond interior design. It was about Diana's memories being gently erased. Possibly the most hurtful symbol. Diana fully embraced her photos, once proudly exhibited throughout the palace's hallways. Pictures of joy, tenderness, and motherly love,
eventually disappeared. They were initially moved to less conspicuous spots, then into private rooms, and then disappeared. Only one snapshot survives. McGrady said it was in a secret room. Even that last image vanished. After a few years it was removed. For McGrady that was the end. Not Diana anymore. He explained it was just a snapshot, but she was overwhelmed. That was when he said the words that made headlines worldwide. Her evil is pure. It wasn't a boast. He didn't sound angry. He stated it in amazement and love for the woman he formerly served. He thought it wasn't accidental. It was calculated. It was meant to physically and symbolically remove Diana. Palace insiders tried to dismiss the developments as a normal progression as Camilla became more public. McGrady and many Diana acquaintances didn't believe that explanation. It meant rewriting history as well as going forward. McGrady stated the contrast between the women hurt more. Diana introduced spontaneity, love and excitement to the palace. She entered the kitchen barefoot for orange juice. She secretly loaded her van with homeless blankets. Her brilliance was obvious. That radiance vanished when Camilla moved in. The air was chilly. Diana's concern vanished as the halls quieted. McGrady lived in the US, ran his catering business, and discreetly honored Diana's legacy via charity work as Camilla rose to queen consort. He was moved by Camilla's rise. He backed the coronation because he wanted progress. Moving ahead didn't mean burying the past. He didn't speak bitterly. He spoke truthfully and loyally to Diana. She endured much. The least I can do is protect her story. All of it, even the uncomfortable parts. Royal standards for personal artifacts. Royal family protocol applies to every aspect, including a portrait. The royals don't throw decor changes around like other families. From chairs to pictures, every object in a royal residence has a purpose and a legacy. Personal artifacts like wedding photos are subject to unique norms and processes. Moving or altering such artifacts requires great thought. Royal tradition requires many approvals for display changes, from household master to royal collection, trust to sovereign. No item is removed or discarded without careful consideration behind closed doors. Princess Diana's iconic wedding portrait was removed from Clarence House without following the procedures. No care or regard was taken in this relocation. No private space or historical archive was used for the photo. However, it was dumped without ceremony, violating royal decorum. Camilla's entrance changed more than the household's environment. It marked a complete rupture from history. Diana's royal family portrait was deleted without a trace, a gesture that showed the monarchy's wish to move forward from its terrible past. A public outcry follows Darren's shocking discoveries. Within hours of his interview, Darren McGrady's shocking claims sparked social media outrage. His impassioned and frank statements confirmed years-old suspicions, especially among Diana's loyal admirers. They had always believed the cherished princess had been mistreated, especially after her death. Thanks for finally being honest, Darren. One user wrote, "You've said what so many of us have felt for years." Messages poured in by the thousands applauding McGrady's honesty and unwavering loyalty to Diana. For many, his statements were seen as a long overdue validation, offering a rare insider's confirmation of what the public had only guessed at, but could never prove. Yet, McGrady's words weren't universally welcome. Critics quickly questioned his timing, with some asking why he waited until now to speak out. Why wait until after celebrating the coronation? One detractor wondered. Others accused him of seeking attention or profiting from old wounds. But McGrady's supporters were quick to defend him, pointing out that he had remained silent for over 2 decades. If anyone has earned the right to speak, it's him, one fan declared. As McGrady's revelations reignited Diana's legacy, old interviews, videos and quotes resurfaced across social media. Fan accounts dedicated to her gained thousands of new followers overnight. The message was clear. The public had not forgotten the people's princess, and McGrady's words reopened a wound that never truly healed. Now, with McGrady's explosive claims reverberating across headlines, Queen Camilla's carefully curated public image faces its biggest challenge yet. For years she had slowly transformed from the other woman to a more accepted figure at Charles's side. But McGrady's insights have cast a harsh light on her actions behind the palace walls, prompting many to ask, what happens next? Camilla's critics, especially Diana loyalists, are not ready to let go. For them, Camilla's ascension to the throne feels tainted by the pain and betrayal it took to get there. Palace insiders remain tight-lipped, following the royal families never complain, never explain much, but silence may no longer be enough to quell the growing unrest.